What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Deck Dissection, and this episode we're going to be looking at what is actually my current main slash favourite deck among the ones that I have, that being Cyber Dragon, as you can see from the title and from this magnificent boy right here. So, yeah, you know the drill. If you're new, we just go through decks. Like I said, this is called Deck Dissection. We just go through decks, kind of break them down to the profile, and yeah, just talk about the whole playstyle of the deck. If you know or if you don't know it already, regardless, and possibly some combo videos. This is most likely going to be the deck I'll do a few combo videos with. But regardless of that, let's get started. So, starting off, obviously, with the monster lineup, we are going to start with 3 of the OG, Cyber Dragon itself, self-explanatory, level 5, summons itself if your opponent controls a monster and you don't control a monster. Primary monster of the deck, obviously got to have 3. Some people do play... I've never seen people play 2, but I've seen people play 1. And I understand why, because it can be a brick if you draw it early on. Sorry, if you don't draw it early on, even. Or if you're going first. But in all fairness, I just can't go without 3, because it's used for so many different things, like discard fodder, mainly discard fodder, actually, apart from actually being summoned. But aside from that, it's just very useful. I just don't find it any less than 3 to work for me. Next up, Cyber Dragon Core. Obviously a fantastic monster. Level 2. All of these are light machines. And when it's normal summoned, you add a cyber, spell, or trap from your deck to your hand. And then if your opponent controls a monster and you don't, you can banish this card from your graveyard to summon an OG Cyber Dragon from your deck. And you can only use one of those effects per turn. But overall, just a fantastic card. Like I said, normal summonable spell card searcher. And it's the main target we use for machine duplication, which we will get into later. So, fantastic card, can't go without 3 in my opinion. Next up, we have... I believe their newest monster, actually, which is Cyber Dragon Hertz. Another little level 1. Got 2 effects. If it's special summoned, you can make its level become 5 until the end of the turn. But you can only special summon machines for the rest of that turn. Or if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add one of the Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So obviously, if it's in the graveyard, you can't target itself. You can only search the normal level 5 Cyber Dragon out of your deck. However, if it's in the graveyard, you can search for pretty much any of the archetype, because most of their monsters become Cyber Dragon when they're on the field or in the graveyard. The name changes, so you can search them back out. Like this can be used to recover a dead core in the graveyard, or something else that you might want back. So, Hertz at 3. Next up, we have 3 Cyber Dragon Naxter. I really like this card, honestly. Fantastic little thing. Another level 1, another target for machine dupe. Becomes Cyber Dragon on field and in the graveyard, and you can discard any other monster to special summon it from your hand. And that works fantastically in tandem with the second effect, because the second effect is, whether it's normal or special summoned, you can target one machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in your graveyard and special summon it. And you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except machine-type monsters. You can use both of the effects per turn, so the standard play for this really would be to discard an OG Cyber Dragon, to special summon one of these rather, and you can fetch the OG Cyber Dragon from the graveyard with Naxter's effect, summon it back. You've instantly got 2 monsters, which usually just result in a link summon. And I see people play less of this. I understand why, because if you don't have the other monster in your hand, or you don't have a machine dupe, it can be a dead card, especially in the late game. But I personally love it at 3, and it helps with the consistency boosting to get it out early game, which is what you want. Next up, a lot of people don't play this, but Cyber Dragon Veer at 1, it's their best level 4. In my opinion, the only good level 4 currently. I mean, they did have Cyber Dragon Dry, which of course was good when that came out in the structure deck to make everything you control level 5. But now Veer is the better one. It special summons itself when you normal or special summon any Cyber Dragon. And it just gives each of your Cyber Dragons a little attack and defense boost, 500 attack and defense, but that's not what we use it for. We use it for the special summon to get link materials. and link and fusion materials as well, and for another little card that we run later in the deck. And for the main monster lineup, this isn't the end of the monster lineup, just the end of the ones you want to summon. We have 3 Galaxy Soldier, level 5 light machine, so it just works with the deck. Discard a light monster to special summon it from your hand, and then when it's special summoned, it searches out another copy of itself. Once per turn, keep in mind. Fantastic card. You play this in tandem with Hertz, because if you use Hertz to as the discard to summon Galaxy Soldier, you get to search a Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard off of Hertz, and then you get to search another Galaxy Soldier, meaning that Hertz and Soldier is an instant Cyber Dragon Infinity, basically. So if you've got nothing else to do, a Hertz and a Soldier in hand is perfect. Next up, moving on to the hand traps, we have 3 Ash Blossom, self-explanatory, you know what it does, and I'm debating taking this out actually for Ghost Ogre, because from what I've seen, Ghost Ogre is actually becoming a lot more relevant recently than Ash Blossom. People just have so many ways to search, and Ash just isn't becoming viable anymore, honestly. So, still good, but I'll most likely keep it in the side deck and take it out for Ogre. And then the last monsters we run, actually, is 3 Veiler. Yep, you know what this card does, and it makes for another discard fodder for Galaxy Soldier or Naxter in a pinch. And, yeah, once again, level 1, so can help with another couple of link plays if absolutely necessary. That's it for the monster lineup, so moving on to the spells. My spell list is a bit odd, but that's because I technically haven't finished the deck yet. So I actually have, at the moment, 3 Repair Plant and 1 Emergency. This should be the other way around, I know. I need to get 2 more Emergency, but at the moment I just can't afford to get them, and I can't seem to find them anywhere either. No one seems to be selling them. The card did get a reprint in Dual Overload, I believe. Yes, Dual Overload. But yeah, I just haven't picked them up yet, really. Both fantastic cards, obviously both searchable off of Core, and yeah, that's pretty much it for those. I mean, you know what they do. They search out your Cyber Dragons, basically, that's all you really need. Next up, another archetypal spell, Cyber Rev System, only a 1 archetypal monster reborn, except it can also summon from the hand, and it makes the monster that you summon unable to be destroyed by card effects, sorry. Yeah, fantastic, just a little bit of revival, either late game or early game, just to keep your plays going, basically. But it can be fantastic in the late game if you have something in graveyard, like a Ziga, that you need to revive, just in a pinch. Next off, the fusion spells. 2 Overload Fusion and 1 Cyberload Fusion. I think this is the most common ratio, in all fairness. I love Overload Fusion, always have since I started playing Cyber Dragons when I was... God, it must have been about 10 years ago now. But, yeah, Overload Fusion is an absolutely fantastic card. I'd say the main fusion monster that I'd try to go into with it is Rampage Dragon. And, I mean, having 2 Rampage Dragons on the field is fantastic, especially some of them in consecutive turns or even during the same turn. Excuse me. But, yeah, if having these 2 in hand in tandem as well is fantastic. Banish 2 with the Overload Fusion, summon 1 Rampage. Send the Banish 2 back into deck with the Cyberload Fusion, you get another Rampage. Dump 4, you're getting 6 attacks per turn at 2100 each. So, fantastic cards. There. Actually, no, sorry, my bad. The Cyberload does have the attack restriction, so that is completely fine. But regardless, still fantastic. Next up, 3 Machine Duplication. Have to run this at 3. I can't contemplate running any less. It's just so useful. Obviously, it duplicates your Core into 2 Cyber Dragons from the deck. Primarily Core. I say Core can do either Core, Hertz, or Naxter. But yeah, absolutely fantastic card. It takes you from 1 monster to a 3, so it's pretty much an instant +2 to your board state. And those 2 can usually result in an infinity, if necessary. Back to hand traps ever so quickly. We got 3 Called by the Grave. You know what this does. So that's self-explanatory. And then onto traps, we only run 4 traps. The first one being 3 Solemn Strike, self-explanatory, just the standard counter trap these days, and 1 Cybernetic Overflow. Great card. Some people don't play this anymore, which I understand why. It can be a brick, but I love it at 1. If you don't know what it does, you banish any number of Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, field, face up, or your graveyard, then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. And if Overflow is destroyed by a card effect, you can add any Cyber Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. The second effect isn't really necessary. I mean, it's nice to have just in case, but the first effect is pretty much the icing on the cake for late game removal if you're in a pinch and everything is in your graveyard. And this is also another reason why we run that 1 copy of Veer, because if you have regular Cyber Dragon, Core, one of the Baby 2, and a Veer in the graveyard, that's banish 4, and that's destroy 4 cards your opponent controls without targeting, keep in mind, which is fantastic because so much has targeting protection these days. I know it's not completely necessary because you usually get over everything with attacks, but I still love this card, honestly. So that's the main deck done. Moving on to the extra deck, we will start off with the Link Monsters. Link Haribo being the first one. Great if you're in a pinch, honestly, and it can just be nice to have. Obviously, you guys know what it does. So, yeah, I just like this card, honestly. A lot of people don't run it. Obviously, I see people playing Al Mirage over it, which was more popular when the Orcus build was around, but we don't actually have Harp Horror anymore, do we? So, I prefer to just run the Link Haribo. Next up for a couple of Link 2s. The first one we have being Cleafort Genius. Bit of an unorthodox choice. In all fairness, I do want to play IP Masquerena over it, but I don't have a Masquerena yet, so whenever I pick one up, I'll most likely take this out and play IP. But this is I actually do like this effect because this card has great effects because it's unaffected by spell or traps and the activated effects of all other Link monsters. So that's fantastic already. Protects itself from pretty much almost all card effects. And you can, once per turn, target a face-up card on each player's field, except this card. Both those cards have their effects negated until the end of the turn. And then the best effect, in my opinion, when 2 monsters are special summoned at the same time to the zones this card points to, you can add 1 level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand. So, basically, the standard play for this would be summoning this, having Core Hurt or Naxter directly behind it like this. You machine duplication, bring out 2 of your Cyber Dragons here and here, and then you get to search for, say, a Galaxy Soldier just to make more monsters, make more Xyz or Link plays. And then this, all you have to do is target one of your vanilla Cyber Dragons. I say vanilla, your regular Cyber Dragons, an opponent's monster. They both have their effects negated. You don't lose anything, they lose a monster for the turn, basically. So yeah, I do actually like this card, although I most likely will take it out. Next up, Platinum Gadget. Fantastic card again. Just gets you a special summon, really, once per turn. The only Achilles heel of this card is that it cannot be used as Link material the turn it is Link summoned. However, that's fine because we can easily get over that with a couple of our other extra deck monsters. Next up, the newest addition to the Cyber Dragon lineup. Actually, no, he's not, but the newest addition to the extra deck lineup is Cyber Dragon Ziga. Fantastic Link 2. Becomes Cyber Dragon on the field or in the graveyard. So, I mean, unfortunately, we can't banish it with Overflow because it has no level. But, yeah, it's still fantastic. It can be recycled by Hertz. It can be resummoned by Naxter because it got 2100 attack. So, lovely, lovely card. And, yeah, best effect of this card, obviously, is during either player's turn, if it hasn't attacked, you can target any machine you control that has 2100 or more attack, and for the rest of this turn, it gains 2100 attack and defense. Neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this monster. So people have occasionally gotten confused. I've seen people get confused thinking like you buff the monster by 2100 attack and then it attacks but your opponent doesn't take battle damage. No, that's not how it works. You buff your other monster by 2100 attack and then if you attack them with this, they won't take damage, but they will still take damage from the bigger boy. So yeah, I prefer to run this at 2. 3 is too much, and I think 1 is too little, honestly. But absolutely love this card. Moving on briefly to the XE's lineup, we have only 2 monsters here, 1 Nova and 2 Infinity. I know this looks a bit weird and unbalanced, but in all fairness, I think with Nova out 1 is fine because it can be revived. You can revive it with Naxter. That's pretty much like the main way you want to revive it. And then you can just overlay it into another Infinity, honestly. I mean, they're both fantastic. Nova gets you more materials. You never really want to stay on Nova. It just gets you more materials, and then you just go into Infinity over it. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, there we go. That's the only XE's monsters we run. I did debate a River Stormer, but I don't think there's enough space for that. And other rank 5s I just think don't really match up. Now for the real meat of the extra deck, which is the fusion monsters. 2, Chimeratech Rampage Dragon. Absolutely adore this monster. Fantastic card. If you don't know what it does, same original stats as Cyber Dragon. Can only be fusion summoned with 2 or more Cyber Dragon monsters. When it's fusion summoned, you can target spell or trap cards on the field up to the number of fusion materials used for its summon, and you destroy them. So fantastic, just Omni spell trap removal effect on summon. And then once per turn, you can send up to 2 light machines from your main deck to the graveyard, and if you do for each monster sent to the graveyard, this card gains an additional attack during each battle phase this turn. So, absolutely fantastic card. With Ziga, it becomes over 1,200 damage in 12,000 damage, sorry, in 1 turn. And if you got 2 of them on the board, it's just an absolute shitstorm, really. So, you can tell how much I love this card. And there we go. Let's just grab that. There we go. Fantastic. Next up, 1 Fortress Dragon. I mean, this has been sided in so many different decks. Everyone sides it in against Cyber Dragon, and pretty much against any other machine decks. While Orcusts were running rampant, this was being sided in. But unfortunately, Orcusts aren't really around now. I did try the Cyber Orcust deck, but in all fairness, I didn't really like it too much. I prefer to keep the deck relatively pure, as pure as you can, really. But yeah, fantastic card. This is the main way to get rid of your dead Platinum Gadget, because once Platinum Gadget's used its effect, it's dead on the field. It's only got 1800 attack. It's not really going to get over anything big. So you use Cyber Dragon and the Platinum Gadget, maybe anything else, just to go into this. Preferably 3 monsters minimum, so you can buff it with Ziga. But yeah, it's just a great card, and of course removes all machines from the field, or any machines that you want, including your opponents. Next up, Overdragon, just at 1. I just run this card because it's sentimental. I won so many games with this card when I was younger. I absolutely love this thing, and yeah, I just wouldn't really go without it. If you don't know what it does, its attack and defense become equal to the number of monsters used for its fusion summon times 800. So, banishing monsters with Overload Fusion, you're usually looking at about 3,200 minimum. When it gets better, you'll be getting close to the 5,000 and 6,000 mark, really. But yeah, fantastic, and it can attack your opponent's monsters equal to the number of monsters used for its fusion summon each turn. So yeah, just a big beater, can swing at all your monsters, Susanoo style, basically. And the final 2 cards from the extra deck, 2 copies of Mega Fleet Dragon. Basically your alternative to Fortress. I have debated cutting this and just down to 1 and running 2 Fortress, but as it is now, you don't really see many machine decks, so I think Mega Fleet is better at 2. And if your opponent's already got something in the extra monster zone, and you use your Platinum Gadget, as opposed to being the normal 2,400 attack and defense that this card would get, it's going to go up to 3,600. So it doesn't often, but it can help. And I believe, yeah, that is a 14 card extra deck, and the reason for that is that there's a couple of cards that I do swap in and out. That being, depending on the matchup, either Borreload or Borrel Sword. Occasionally I will take out Cleafort Genius for a Nightmare Phoenix or a Nightmare Unicorn, depending. I did used to play Crusadia Equimax in this deck, but in all fairness, I feel like the OTK potential is already high enough that I really don't need to, because Equimax is great, it just prevents everything else you have from attacking, and it only gets the one attack. So I prefer having to, or being able to get at least 4 to 5 attacks per turn. So yeah, that's my Cyber Dragon deck. Like I said, not complete yet. A couple of changes to do, a couple of other cards to add in. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.